James Bond is back to being alright. I came up with this theory while watching the newest James Bond movie, Spectre, that has to do with the Daniel Craig movies. They seemed a roller coaster between quality. Like Casino Royale came out, that was the first one with Daniel Craig, and it was up here. It was awesome. Okay? But then Quantum of Solace came out, and it wasn't as cool. It was a bit more like this. But then Skyfall came out, and Skyfall was up here. Skyfall rocked. I love Skyfall. And then, Spectre came out, and Spectre's doing some more of this rather than this. It's down here. It's mediocre. Compared to the other secret agent movies that have come out this year, Spectre is in the bottom half. And coming off of Skyfall, it definitely pales in comparison. Spectre actually takes place almost immediately after the events of Skyfall. James Bond is hunting down someone outside of the 00 program, and that program is actually being absorbed by some worldwide surveillance company that's kinda, Do you remember the plot of Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier, with the worldwide surveillance thing going on that S.H.I.E.L.D. was doing? It's a lot like that, except in Britain. It's a bit out of place compared to the last movie and the reality that it occupied. And not only that, but James Bond as a character is a lot less interesting than he was in previous movies, and he's a bit of a dick, if anything. Instead of watching Craig's character overcome obstacles like he did at the beginning of Skyfall, the script instead just kind of weaves the plot and the villain around James Bond, which really just provides him with a bunch of action sequences that he can just easily breeze through. Basically, Spectre tries to create the illusion of character depth through adding in some backstory of James's past that I'm not entirely sure actually added up in the end. Most of the action is actually just above average, nothing really too special, save for a fight that he has with Dave Bautista's character and a plane chase that you might have seen in some of the trailers. The action isn't bad, it's just that it's not really that memorable or as captivating as some of the action that was in Skyfall or Casino Royale. I know I'm comparing Spectre a lot with Skyfall, but both movies have almost exactly the same staff members working on them, save for a new cinematographer that, unfortunately, made Spectre a little bit boring to look at. If anything, Spectre just made me really want to rewatch Skyfall. Christoph Waltz plays the villain in Spectre, and if you're familiar at all with the older James Bond movies, or just the term Spectre, you can probably guess who his character is. Waltz actually isn't in the movie that much, but when he is, he gives a very disinterested performance, which is a shame considering that the guy has 2 Oscars. There's some complicated plot that tries to tie the rest of the Daniel Craig movies together, but it's so weak that you can see it fraying at the edges. All the series staples are here, from gorgeous women to a supercar, to gadgets, to a theme song by Sam Smith, to just spontaneous sex scenes that actually felt sort of aggressive. Like, much more aggressive than I would have preferred. Spectre also takes quite a few jabs at comedy, but only about half of them work. The delivery when the movie's trying to be funny is just very awkwardly paced and didn't really flow right. In the end, Spectre finds itself living in the shadow of its gigantic predecessor, while also being unable to compete with similar movies that were inspired by this 53-year-old franchise. That's why I can only give Spectre 2 stars out of 4. All we can hope for here is that if Daniel Craig does return for another James Bond movie, that my theory holds water. Because if it does, then that movie is gonna be here. Thanks for watching. I'm Cowboy Rivers. The name's Rivers. Cowboy Rivers. Okay, let's not do that again.